You may have heard of Murky Divers before, but you may not have ever played it, which means you don't know about the super cool, awesome monsters, or creatures as they're called, that this game has to offer. And if you have played this game before, then you know that while some of the creatures are pretty cool, there are some others that are just straight up bird dookie. I would just list them out, but I do that so much on this channel, I want to switch it up a bit this time. So in this video, we're making a tier list of every creature in Murky Divers. This list will be based completely off of my personal opinion, so please remember that I am a gamer, not an expert. However, I will be using the danger levels provided by the Murky Divers wiki, so you will be able to learn something no matter what your experience level in this game is. Let's start off with arguably the most iconic creature. It's the game mascot, and that is the Reaper. The Reaper has a danger level of 4 and is high off that seaweed, if you catch my drift. This thing always has a way of sneaking up on you, and it will literally end runs unless you're able to safely make it back to your sub or able to blow it up by using one of the sea mines. With the addition of the sea scooters from the first major update, the Reaper is a little bit easier to get away from. However, the sea scooter is really fast and not the most ideal item to use when you're inside of the bunkers. So with that said, I'm putting the Reaper in the A tier because although it's my favorite, it is the game mascot. We've got to show respect to that. And bro, he's literally high on life. You gotta give him points for that. Next, let's talk about society's most notorious worst enemy, the police. The police aren't like other creatures in this game, but it felt like a disservice if I didn't include them in this tier list. The police, of course, are the main antagonists when it comes to the lore and story of Murky Divers. If you don't already know, Murky Divers is about this company called FarmerCorp, who sends you, the players, out on these extraction missions with the goal of clearing evidence from these abandoned deep ocean labs. Again, you never fully interact with the police. The only times you do interact with them is whenever you're in your sub and you can see them on your sonar trying to avoid them and stuff, or in the last 2 minutes of any dive whenever the starfish comes out. The starfish is actually so dope, especially in the deeper levels. It is truly a sight to behold. But again, your interactions with them are pretty limited, which I think is crazy considering how important they are to the lore of this game. Also, the cops are just annoying this game, so there's no way I'm not putting them in F tier. Our next creature, we have the water bear. I had such a hard time trying to figure out where to put this thing. The water bear is an enemy that will suck you up and spit you out after a short amount of time. And before you say anything, yes, that's what she said. Get your mind out of the gutter. If this happens to you, you can easily get out of it by having one of your friends punch the water bear, causing it to throw you up, or this will naturally happen over time. What I hate about this thing is literally how big it is. If you're inside of a bunker, especially inside of one of the many tight corridors and narrow hallways, sometimes the only way to get out is through the water bear. Obviously, this is problematic. Like, get out of my way, bro. I've got evidence to clear. I just, in general, really do not like this guy, but it's not the worst enemy out there, so I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Get it? Next up, we have the Bat Bomb. As the name suggests, this is a bat-like creature that will explode if you get too close to it. This creature isn't the most threatening in the game, with only a danger level of 2, primarily because it's not the most fast-moving. It's really not too hard to avoid these guys. It will sometimes be asleep and hanging from the ceiling. Just do your best to keep your distance. They are also pretty easy to see because of how big and red the bomb itself actually is. So I'm gonna put this thing in the B tier just because BBB, Bat Bomb, B tier, whatever. The alliteration there just makes sense. Also, I do think the Bat Bomb is one of the more creative creatures in the game. And I live here in Austin, Texas, where our city mascot is literally the river bat, so I gotta pay homage to the home team. Now let's talk about, in my opinion, one of the scarier creatures in this game, and that is the TV Beast. This creature, no printer, scared the shit out of me when I first saw it, and so just for that, I'm gonna put it in the S tier. With a max danger level of 5, what makes this thing so dangerous is how persistently and quickly it will chase after you. Now, this isn't like your normal creature where it just attacks the closest player to it. Instead, the TV Beast will choose one specific player, lock onto them, and will not stop until that player either dies or makes it back safely on the sub. The design of this creature is probably what makes this thing stand out most, in my opinion. I love how it has the little mini apparitions that you can see, and you can also use these to know if you're the one who's haunted by it or not. Overall, this is a really awesome enemy. I had no choice but to put this thing in S tier. Now let's talk about the Snapdragon. The Snapdragon is what I like to call a hazard creature. What I mean by hazard is that this creature isn't a real threat, more so it's there just to be an obstacle in your way. The Snapdragons are those coral creatures that you'll see sometimes swimming around in the bunkers or sticking out from the floor. This thing will attack you by latching onto your arm, and just like the water bear, you can get it off by having another player punch it, or it'll just pop off after a certain amount of time. Again, though, the Snapdragon is not meant to be a crazy monster, and it's just not cool enough to me, in my opinion, so I'm not gonna gonna put it any higher than the C tier. It does have a pretty funny screech though, so I'll give it some points for that. Oh, now for one of the creatures that was added in the first major update back in July, and that is the Giant Squid. Bro, do I really need to say much about this? You'll find this thing mainly at the deeper levels, and it has a maximum threat level of 5 because if you touch it, it is literally an insta-kill. The fact that you can only find it at the deeper levels for me just adds to the lore of what a Giant Squid is in real life, especially for those dives where it's the first thing you see when you get out of the sub. It just makes the whole dive feel that much more dangerous. The Giant Squid is freaking dope. This thing is going in the S tier for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. We've got just a few more creatures left to rank, but if you're enjoying this video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Murky Divers and other games just like it. We're on that fast track up to 1,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can hit it before the end of the year. Now it's time to talk about the eye shark. The eye shark is a creature that was naturally selected from ever going on land because of how bad it is. So I'm telling you right now, this thing is going in the F tier. This is an enemy that will periodically launch an attack of fury swipes at you, dealing a good chunk of damage. The eye shark's attacks are not that hard to dodge though, because it usually locks itself into a straight line once it begins an attack. This thing only has a danger level of 2, and I'm putting it in the F tier because it's basically just a carbon copy of the eye guy from Content Warning. Like, they almost literally have the same name and everything. There's another enemy that has a similar issue, which we'll talk about a little later in the video. And while the eye shark isn't inherently bad, its obvious inoriginality just really bothers me. Next up, we have the ink Dodo. This is another creature that was added in the first major update and is personally one of my favorite, if not my favorite creature in this game. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't have a wiki entry, just like the Giant Squid. I guess they haven't updated it for all the new creatures yet. That's kind of crazy, bro. It's been like 2 months. I'll just do it myself. Anyways, though, I'm gonna give this thing my own danger score of 1. The only thing you have to look out for with this thing is that it will explode, leaving you covered in ink if you get too close to it. But the reason why I love this thing so much is because of the way it starts throwing a tantrum around the map whenever it explodes. Come on, dude, how can this not be funny? Unfortunately, cheap laughs isn't that great of a reason, so I can't put it any higher than the B tier. Sorry, Ink Dodo, still love you, bro. Now we're gonna talk about the sea monkey. These extremely cute looking guys are very common and can be found at all depths and maps. They're another hazard creature in this game because getting close to them will cause them to steal any items that you may have in your hand. It's actually so frustrating, probably more so than the horde bug in Lethal Company. I wanted to put this thing higher because it's so freaking cute, just like my dog, but stealing is a big no-no, so into the B tier you go, sea monkey. Just 2 more creatures to talk about. The first one is going to be the officer bot. The officer bot is a creature that is very similar to the robot dog from Content Warning. When it spots you, it will begin firing laser beams at you and has a danger level of 4. That number kind of surprises me. I think it should be lower because that laser beam is not very hard to avoid. However, if you do get hit by this thing, it does a ton of damage, so you need to keep an eye out if you're around this thing. I've also had multiple officer bots spawn at the same time, more so than any other creature in this game, so for real, keep your eyes peeled. While this is not the most unique creature in this game, this is really the only way we can interact with the cops in any sort of direct way, and there is a little bit of alliteration in there as well, so for that I'm gonna put it in the B tier right alongside Batty Boy. Finally, the only creature we haven't talked about is the Moth. The Moth is probably the most dangerous creature in the game as it has a danger level of 5 and is described as being fast and horrible. When spotted, this thing will chase after you, attempting to give you a hug straight from Satan himself. I say that because this hug is an insta-kill, so stay away at all costs. So long as you keep your distance, you should be good, maybe. Hopefully. I think the Moth is a really cool creature. I think it has one of the best designs of all the creatures in the game, and so I'm going to put this thing in S tier. And off the video right. All the creatures in Murky Divers are unique in what they do and the challenge that they present for the players. While some are pretty mid, others are really interesting and go a long way towards adding to that feeling of thalassophobia you feel on your dive. That said, I don't think there's a ton of variety in this game, so I hope that's something that they can add and build upon in future updates. But what do you think of the creatures in this game? How do they compare to some of the other enemies you've encountered in other games like this? Let me know down in the comments below, but otherwise, thank you guys very much for watching. Y'all take care of yourselves, you be easy, stay positive, and of course, I will catch you guys on the flip.